everyone, and welcome back to Rebooked, the show where we talk about the men and the women who be slapping the meat in the middle of the squared circle and the stories they're telling in the process. Brother, as always, I'm GB. You have Matt. You also have Jake. And today we are going to be talking about all the things happening in the world of professional wrestling storytelling. And there's a lot.
There's so much.
There's a metric crap ton. I'm not going to curse so that we can be within the first, like monetization friendly window of YouTube. Anyway, lots to talk about, lots to break down.
You two have so much headroom, and this makes me look massive.
Do you want
look at?
Well, you bring your camera down, and then it'll fix your headroom. I mean, I don't want to police
I brought
people's
my chair
headroom.
Down
Here, I could move myself up as well.
No, it made me look like more of a behemoth than I am.
You are a behemoth. You tower over men.
Yeah,
you make them tremble in your path.
I feel protected when I'm with you. I feel safe.
Quiver.
Yeah. It's also your warm embrace. It's a combination of everything. Well, let's not waste any time, guys, because there's a lot that we have to talk about today. In case you don't know, AEW is doing their big WrestleMania-like show this weekend, which of course is called All In. They have had a few good ones out in London. This was like where it first started. This is the first one in the States, and it's pretty exciting. I'm going to be going, which I'm really pumped about. But this event's going to be huge, featuring great matches, like across the board. And I would go as far as to say some really good storytelling going into the actual big event itself. Like, they do deserve a lot of flowers. Everyone likes to say AEW doesn't have storylines, and I do think that this all-in build has kind of proved that wrong. But that's not the only thing that's happening, because you also have WWE, who just conveniently, I don't know how this happened. Happenstance of schedule. Who would have thunk it? Also has two events, rather. I shouldn't say pay-per-views. Events.
Three.
Wait, what's
if you want to count Great American Bash, NXT, Saturday night's main event, and then Evolution.
Jeez. We get it.
Scan was saying just between, I think, Friday and Sunday, there are 18 hours of wrestling.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's just all in.
And that is just all in. And then, of course, we have some stuff heating up because TNA is getting ready for their big event, Slammiversary, which is coming up around the corner. It's going to be taking place in Long Island, New York. And that will be featuring an awesome triple threat main event, which is what we're going to be starting with here today, because we finally got the three men who are going to be involved in this clash at Slammiversary: Trick Williams, Joe Hendry, and Mike Santana, New York's own, by the way, in a heated conversation during Frankie Kazarian's, is his brand new show, Matt? Is brand new show The King's
brand new
The King's Court with Frankie Kazarian.
The King's Speech.
Oh, The King's Speech. I'm so sorry. The King's Speech. I'm so sorry. Isn't that a movie? The King's Speech.
Yes. It's about the stuttering King of England. Ironically enough,
it's just the man's gold. The thing that I do want to say about that, though, is that taking a look at that promo and everything, like Frankie Kazarian so much belongs in the conversation of the championship and everything that's going on there. I'm glad that he's involved, even if not directly in the match. I'm glad he's involved in some way, because Frankie Kazarian truly is the gift that keeps on giving. So let's talk about this real fast here, Matt, because this obviously is a big opportunity here for the three competitors of Slammiversary to interact with one another, and they both kind of laid out their reasons why they believe they are the right person to usher in TNA's era or this next era. What do you think? How do you feel about it?
I think it's going to be really good. But before we start, if possible, I'm already tangenting, despite I complaining about tangenting a little bit. Can you pull up the image I just shared? It's related, actually.
Okay. I'm pulling it up. Give me 1 second.
As we talk about the King's Speech, this might be one of the best thumbnails in recent wrestling history.
Holy
it's
crap.
Literally a thumbnail for a promo segment.
I want to zoom in on it. I'm going to save this real fast.
There's three different Frankie Kazarian faces. It looks like the greatest Michael Bay poster ever.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna see if I
I
can
don't know.
pull
I
this
just
up
thought
here.
it was
This is too good because Frankie
so
Kazarian
damn
is,
funny.
yeah, he is such a ridiculous human being, and it's great.
Yeah,
Here you
it's
go
so
in
much
all of its
fun.
glory.
Yeah.
There's a picture of him here pointing
There's
to
4
the,
of them. I
with
didn't see it. There's
explosion.
one more.
There's one more over in the distance
Walking
over
away
here,
from the
walking away from an
explosion.
explosion. There's Frankie emerging from the explosion, and then there's Frankie. I mean, I'm guessing he's got a helicopter in his throat. You know,
Probably, yeah.
What an incredible graphic. Whoever made this.
Why isn't that a T-shirt?
Yeah.
Dude, it should be.
And yeah, that needs to be a T-shirt.
Bro, I would take
You
all
even
of this
notice
as
on
a
the floor
t-shirt.
under his
That's one of
feet,
those
All of this
it
is
says
a
King
t-shirt.
of King of TNA in the shadows.
Yeah.
Yeah, King of TNA, right? Okay, seriously, we do have to give flowers to the graphic designer who made this. This is so good. Everything
incredible.
about this. And it's good in like a bad way. You know, like that's how you know when it's good, when you can appreciate it because it is intentionally terrible, but like in all the best ways possible. Yeah. So Frankie Kazarian, as you guys saw, the King's speech happened, and yeah, I mean, look, I'm liking the fact that these guys are interacting with one another. Let's talk about, you know, their positions and everything. And, you know, I gotta say, I mean, I know I have bias for Mike Santana, but Mike Santana definitely felt like he was the little bit of the focal point here in this altercation, which I kind of liked.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a new scenario. We've seen things like this play out before. It's there's the heel champion, and you've got 2 guys. It's a triple threat match. They're 2 good guys, right? So there's the quote unquote mutual respect angle, but it boils over sometimes, and it did boil over here. Things got physical. I believe it was, yeah. I don't remember who it. I think Joe struck Mike in the melee, and so like there's that, oh, remember, all bets are off kind of thing. Come Slammiversary, there is no triple, or it's not a 2-on-1, right? It's not just 2 good guys and a bad guy. It's 3 men all fighting for very different reasons, like we talked about last week.
Yeah,
I think it just makes it that much more, raises the tension that much more.
Yeah, and it does feel like there is this this great story, Jake, that's being told of like who is going to be the one that kind of lifts TNA back up, right? Because you've been hearing it all throughout commentary, which of course Matt and you and Tom doing a great job of this throughout the week. Like, you know, you've been hearing it with like Steve Macklin, for example, when he comes out and he's all like, you know, I am the one that's holding down the fort for TNA. You know, I am the one that's like. So there is this like desire, right, to be the one who does it. Would
He's
you like
the
to
vice president after the president dies?
Yeah, pretty much,
kind of, right? Yeah,
that's what Macklin is, right?
Yeah, I mean, but he has an actual title that he defends.
Yeah.
So unlike the vice president, who doesn't really do much
when they become the president, they have quite a lot to defend.
This is true.
Thank you very much.
I guess so. Now, I guess in this regard, though, what does this, you know, I guess, how do we move with this here? Because it does feel like right now, Trick is very much like the guy that's, you know, he's been doing a great job of being like the stopgap, you know, like I beat you, even if it was through nefarious means, he still did it. Do we see this continuing forward past Slammiversary? Is this something you'd like to see them continue forward with as we get closer?
What do you mean?
Like continue forward with Trick as the champion?
No.
You know, no. You think like, I mean, I know from the TNA perspective, but there is a really cool angle one could take with like Trick Williams is viewing himself as a man who is capable of saving a brand, which I think is like very good delusion. It's he already does.
He's already doing that.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I don't think there's much more on that vine.
Yeah.
I think he's already done it. He's espoused that pretty much every week, whether he's been on the show or not. Like he pre-tapes a promo or whatever it is. I don't know. I think it would be a huge missed opportunity. I don't think there's much meat on that bone. I really don't.
No, that's fair. I agree.
don't think there's a ton. I think there's way more in moving past this moment and who's gonna lead TNA as the TNA guy, so to speak, going forward. So
is it Joe or is it Mike? because like the conventional wisdom would say Mike.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You could do something. You could do some fun stuff with a Joe Hendry who decides he desperately wants a TNA championship back.
Sure.
His TNA championship back. And we have seen heel Joe Hendry in the past. So this isn't like anything new. Jake, is that something worth leaning into, or should they just give it to Mike?
Possibly. I mean, yeah, it's very. I mean, you could very much have him kind of play the. Listen, I'm trying to shape TNA in my image, right? Like that's what Hendry. I mean, that's what really all of them want to do. But I mean, I think you could very much have a program where Hendry's like, look, I did what I had to do to get this title back
Yeah.
on the right side.
Yeah.
And I know now the kind of action it takes to be a champion, and I have to make sure that this never happens again, you know, and like he just kind of becomes a heelish by circumstance, you know. It's the classic,
Yeah.
you know, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I think it's really interesting if we just have Joe continue to act like he does, but is doing these kind of like, I think it'd be interesting to even see him regret his actions and wish that he didn't have to do them. I think that could be something that's interesting too, but like, I don't know, man. I mean, the writing does seem to be on the wall for Santana to finally capture
Yeah.
a world championship. So I don't know. I mean, there are plenty of different options and off ramps we can take.
I wouldn't hate it. I think we all can universally agree Trick should lose. But because, you know, I think like you said,
not only that, I think he should take the pin.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
He needs to be the one who definitively loses in the middle of the ring, just so this way you could just be done with it. But I do like this idea of a Joe Hendry who is more interested in fixing the errors and mistakes of his past and doing it under the guise of caring about TNA's future versus, you know, the guy who's like ride or die TNA. You know, like,
well, there's
I
also
like both of those.
There's also the angle that, I mean, like, look, it would be a bold move to take your arguably most over singles babyface act. Very bold choice to turn that guy into a bad guy. Is bold the right word?
No.
But
It's not bald,
no.
so at least you're okay.
No, but so it would be like it would be a rough one. But that said, everyone he's feuded with almost for at least the last year, at some point in their program and some point in their story, has gone after Joe for being a meme, a song, a GIF. You know what I mean? A viral sensation. Everybody's gone after him, saying what both before and after he's won the title. Like, you're a gimmick. You're a ha entertaining guy, but you don't have the heart of a wrestler. You're not a wrestler like me. You're
Yeah.
not as good as me, blah, 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 even though he's beaten a lot of people, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, like, there could be a story where Joe's like, you think I'm nothing but a gimmick? I'll show you how much of a gimmick I am now.
Yeah, that could be cool.
You know what I mean? Just to kind of like that chip on his shoulder. Could be something there.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's a trigger you want to pull quite yet, but if you do, there's some fodder there.
I don't know that it's a full heel turn. I just think it'd be interesting, kind of like to have him do some slightly out of character, even if the decision making isn't out of character, if that makes sense. I don't know. Just
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting to have him do these things where it's just like, if I want to be a champion and stay a champion, this is the kind of man I have to be. And it's and this battle of Joe trying not to lose himself. You know, kind of like I almost feel like kind of the opposite of what Cena is doing. You know, Cena just threw himself into being a heel and seems to be maybe struggling with like, am I going to be, you know, is this really who I want to be?
Yeah.
Do the opposite with Joe. Have Joe continue to be a face, not hesitate in doing some possibly questionable things, but then regretting it after and questioning his decision making. I think that kind of stuff could be fun and be interesting and make Joe Hendry a more complex character.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look, you can do a full virtuous run, but you know, sometimes you got to kill that NPC if you want that sword.
Right? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's just like, yeah, I could avoid it, and he will give me 100 gold, and I will get points to my gratitude meter. But like, I just want the damn sword, man. Like,
give me the
I won't kill
sword.
anybody else. I won't kill anybody else. I promise. I'll only kill ogres, but just give me the sword.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have to keep eyes on it. This is, I am very much looking forward to Slammiversary. We talked about this in the last episode, but like what's been going on with Order 4, which we didn't really touch on because we have a lot to talk about. So, but we'll talk more about it next week, especially if there's more movement getting ready for Slammiversary, because we'll have Slammiversary to predict almost, and I think, 2 more weeks, right? I think we'll do our Slammiversary prediction show.
No, it'll be next week.
Oh, it'll be next week. Okay. Oh my God.
Yep.
Time is just fading away ever so quickly. It's a horrifying thought. So we'll be talking about that next week and see what other movement happens there. But overall, this has been a really, really fun build for Slammiversary, and I'm quite compelled. Now, moving on to our second topic of discussion, we got ourselves a double header. WWE, triple header, as we learned from the opening, because Great American Bash is this one, but we don't really talk about NXT on the show. But yes, that's an event that's also happening. So we have Great American Bash, then we have Saturday night's main event, followed by WWE Evolution. We're not going to spend too much time on the Saturday night main event card. But we have not talked at all about this Goldberg Gunther thing, and I just want to touch on it just for a sec. This is the match that's happening.
This Goldberg Gunther thing,
because
he won't even gain it with the word title match. It's a thing
because it's so like, okay, you either have two scenarios that happen here, because and this is the unfortunate reality of, like, I guess working with older wrestlers. Like, Goldberg's already said this is his last match. He said it multiple times. Yeah. Now, this could very well not be his last match. He could be taking people for a ruse, which is fine. But I want to be clear here. That's not good. and then so that means that either Gunther's going to win, which we know, and then that kind of takes the steam out of this match. But if Goldberg wins for whatever reason, that's not good. Like, I can't be the only one who feels like this.
God, no. It doesn't feel. So a lot of people will, if there are defenders of this, I don't really think there's that many. I could be wrong.
And if you like it, you like it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just,
But a lot of people, I feel like, are going to throw the Sting argument into the conversation. And I still maintain, I do think he should have lost on the way out. I don't mind what they did, but I am a purist in that sense. I think it could have been a really good situation regardless. But it did end up working mostly because Sting had been on a run in AEW. He had built this whole thing with Darby. He had started doing some like wild things he had never done before. Like, it was this whole new arc for him. And so it culminated in that. And so it was kind of cool. Like, we've seen Goldberg like 3 times in like 8 years. And like, it's only because he just said, whenever people called him retired, he's like, well, I'm not retired yet.
Yep.
So like, now it's just like checking off the list. There's no big, so I reject the argument, if it is out there, that like, well, he could retire with the belt and, vacate it and, like Sting style. I'm like, that hasn't been earned over the last recent memories. So like,
that's
you're
how
right.
I feel too. That's, I'm in the same exact boat where I'm like, if you want to do the Sting thing, cool. But is Goldberg the guy that gets that treatment? No.
Not given recent hit. Again, if he had been here for like the last year and had done some like, whoa, Goldberg kind of reinvented himself and gave us a legitimately like strange but interesting run the last 2 years in WWE. Like, you know what I mean? He was wrestling Seth Rollins and he was teaming with I don't know, John Cena or something for a tag title, right? Like, I don't know, just doing fun. You're like, whoa, this is a whole new arc. Now we send him into the sunset. We can give him a party. If this is anything other, unless there is like a huge ace up their sleeve, if this is anything other than Pena, shake your hand, take a bow, and good night, goodbye.
Yeah.
And then
Jake, what do you think? You feel the same way?
Yeah, I just if I don't know what your net positive is if he wins, if Goldberg wins. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what you stand to gain from that.
Yeah.
Because it's okay, he won and he comes out and just vacates the title the next night. What do you gain from that
Mm-hmm.
other than not having a champion anymore and having Gunther look weaker because he lost to a
guy on his way out,
+year-old guy on his way out who hasn't wrestled in 3 years. I don't remember how long. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. But
it's the fact that and here's the thing. Sorry, I just wanted
now
to say.
here's another possibility.
Yeah, go for it.
Here's another possibility that by some deal with hell, Goldberg, and Seth cashes in on him,
and that could be.
And we
if
get
that's
46
your ace,
tsunamis on a Goldberg, so there's both story-wise and physically a reason that we never see him again in the WWE.
And you know what?
Right?
If that is where it goes, cool. But I am gonna say that I still don't think that is like that.
No, I don't either. But I can
justification
see,
to counter
them
program
doing it. But I can see them doing it because it's like, again, the people who are going to be watching this are either it's like 3 groups of people, right? It's the diehard WWE fans.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people who can't afford All In, and it's
we're very real, very real.
Correct. Yeah. And casuals.
Yeah.
So people who may be tuning in to be like, bro, I hadn't watched wrestling since Goldberg was on the streak and blah, blah, blah. And you watch him and you see all this chaos unfold of not only did you bring some people back for it being Goldberg, but then now here comes new guy or newish to you, Seth Rollins, who cashes in Money in the Bank. And now there's been 2 title changes.
Yeah.
With the main title on Saturday night's main event, and can that generate enough buzz to pull from All In? It won't, but can it also,
well, actually, no, it might.
Casual viewers.
That might. I think we look at, obviously, like I am a wrestling fan. We're all like wrestling fans, but I definitely am not under any illusion that like AEW is gonna, like, AEW could have a bigger footprint than WWE this weekend, but WWE is doing 3 shows, and one of those shows is an all-women's show that's also going to be a great show, and we're going to talk about that in a second. So like, I'm
glad that wasn't put up against All In.
I wouldn't have I mean, I think that if All In was on a Sunday, it would have been. And All In,
I mean, by virtue of it's not called Sunday night's main event.
Yeah, I mean, I think they would have. They wouldn't have. They probably would have. I don't know. Who knows? But it wouldn't have shocked me. But in any case, right? At Saturday night's main event, we have 3 matches set up. We're not going to spend too much time on them because there are going to be some fun story bits out of this, but nothing too crazy. You're going to have Seth Rollins going up against LA Knight. And then Drew McIntyre is actually, who is Drew taking on? Draw a blank on that one now that I think about it. Because Randy Orton. Drew's taking on Randy Orton. Yeah. And this, Drew showed up on SmackDown, kind of just told everyone they're dumb, and then him and Randy are having a match. That's cool. LA Knight and Seth Rollins is the more compelling one. Because I do think that if Seth Rollins is going to cash in his Money in the Bank on a maybe winning Goldberg, which it could very well end up being the case now that you guys have said it, I think it's going to happen. LA Knight probably gets that win, right? So that this way there's like meat on that bone for the future, I have to imagine. That's what I'm bummed. Is anyone compelled by Saturday night's main event? Like it really, it's just 3 matches. And
you know what?
I'm bummed.
I mean, no.
Outside of the result of Gunther and Goldberg, just because I'm curious what they'll do. I think the cash in is almost an impossibility.
Really?
I think it's a near 0 chance. I don't. If it's Goldberg's last, there's no. I know we're not. There's no way Bill Goldberg is agreeing to go out on
so this is
like cash in stomp, get beat up, and then stand up and go, thanks everybody. Like, no, it's going to either be a clean loss and a take a bow and leave.
Yeah,
it's not going to be question mark chaos. Blah blah blah.
Well,
blah
wait
blah,
a minute though.
I leave.
Gunther could get cashed in on.
Sure. Okay. Yes. Sorry. In as far as a Goldberg wins, Seth cashes, but I think it's like a 0.
Yeah.
Could Gunther win? And then maybe. I just think it's gonna be. I think they're gonna give Goldberg his moment, so I think they're gonna keep the end of that whole thing clean. I think Gunther and him shake hands.
So it doesn't ever come back to be like, that one left a bad taste.
Yeah, like, oh, let's do it the right way, and everything. Just give him his flowers. No matter what you feel about him, he had an incredible impact. He deserves some flowers.
Yeah.
He deserves to have a moment, a take a bow, a wave goodbye, cut a promo. Absolutely.
And then we're done.
So I think they're going to keep that as clean as possible. And then, yes, sunset for horse, man, no name, whatever. Just keep riding.
I like this is how wrestling needs to be booked. Just straightforward. Do this, done. You're no name. You're out. Right off to the sunset. Goodbye. I love it. Well, there's also another event happening, which is actually going to be pretty awesome and is going to be have some ramifications, and that is WWE Evolution, which is the all women's pay-per-view, PLE that's going to be taking place. Some good matches. We're not going to spend time on every single match because some have had weaker builds, others have kind of just been cobbled together. For example, like, the tag title matchup. This is just the interesting thing to watch out in this one is what happens with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. That is the most interesting thing of the tag team title situation.
I want to touch on just real quick. I actually do like this team up, and the reason I like it is the reason that Alexa gave. We don't have to like each other. We just have to win.
Yeah.
I want to hear that excuse from more tag teams.
Yeah.
Who like there have been, other than, coming up with some weak ass reason or answer of why are they a tag team. I love that Alexa was just like, I'm great. You're great. Let's be great together in a story. I don't have to like you. You don't have to like me, but we do have to win championships.
They want to win gold.
Love that mindset, and I love that reasoning for 2 characters being a tag team. I don't think you see that enough often.
Yeah, I don't think
it's good clean logic.
I don't think they're going to win, or at least,
I do.
They could win, but does make me wonder what's happening with the Judgment Day and Raquel and Roxanne, and that's the other interesting element to this matchup. And then there's obviously like you're gonna get Asuka and Kairi Sane, who like you can't do this kind of show and not have them on the card. So I'm glad that they're in there, and then that's it. And then you have the NXT wrestlers, Zaraya and Sol Ruka, who I know they're quite popular, but I don't see them winning this matchup. So yeah, I mean we'll see what happens. But yeah, it could be Alexa and Charlotte, and that wouldn't be the worst thing, Gets them both wrestling and gets them both on camera more often. Charlotte Flair, man, she like she looks completely different. It's crazy the transformation that she has gone through. I mean, obviously, surgeries and stuff like that notwithstanding, but just her as a personality and as a character, and it feels very different. She's trying to go with this, like, I don't know, it feels a little like Carmella-esque,
And I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it was really weird. That was what Cynthia. That's what my wife said when she saw it.
I think this is all an effort to soften up Charlotte's image a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's the reason that they're doing this, which is fine. And I don't hate it. I like the effort that I've seen into what Charlotte's been doing. So I actually kind of like the direction that this is going.
And I actually like the women's tag titles being used as like narrative development for people. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you don't really have anything to do, get you over in the tag team area, and then you can kind of create a story from there. Because like eventually Alexa and Charlotte are going to butt heads and clash and so on and so forth. So you got yourself something that you could build off of. Same thing with Raquel and Roxanne. So it's pretty cool. Of course, we'll move forward here and cover the rest of the matches. We have a women's battle royale that's going to take place. Winner will get a shot at Paris. There are a lot of competitors that were announced for it. One of the most recent ones was Nikki Bella, which I'm not going to front. I completely forgot she came back. So yeah, I think that was part of the reason why they did it the way they did it. So we'll see what happens there. We also had Jade Cargill versus Naomi. This is just going to continue their blood feud, keep this thing going. So, I mean, there's nothing really there. Who wins that one, though? Probably Naomi, right?
I'm surprised they're doing it, honestly.
Yeah.
It feels like it just got shoehorned in for what is a good long-term feud. This is still, I still assume it's going to culminate in something to do with Jade's SummerSlam title shot and Naomi's Money in the Bank. So like this feels like, did we have to get like a match? And something tells me, because Jade won at Mania, right?
Yes. Jade won at Mania.
I feel like Jade wins again, and then Naomi finally ruins her moment when she wins the title, maybe at SummerSlam. I think it looks like it's just Jade running through. She's on a roll. She's going to SummerSlam.
Yeah.
But caution, if you will, or proceed with caution, I guess is the catchphrase. Shame on me. But yeah, and then I think Naomi like spoils the party.
Yeah. No, I mean that could very well be the case, and it is shaping up to be that way. Which honestly, even though it's like pretty cut and dry, I'm still excited for it because that means Naomi's going to be a champion. Jade Cargill is going to be close to the championship scene, so I think it's good. It's a net positive. There's also another big championship match, NXT championship. Like I said, we don't really cover NXT on the show, but it does involve a TNA legend. So we got, of course, Jordynne Grace going up against Jacy Jayne.
And this has implications for Slam. The winner of this will face Masha at Slammiversary.
Oh,
because it has already been announced. I know we didn't cover it, so it's not I have to, but it'll be Masha versus the NXT Women's Champion. Title for title, winner take all.
Oh,
I didn't realize title for title.
Oh,
that's a horse of a different color, and that would be interesting. So Jordan's winning.
I don't know how I feel about this, but
no, Jordan's winning, and then Masha's gonna take both titles.
No, or Jacy Jayne squeaks out a win, and then Masha takes. I think Masha is taking both titles.
I think it'd be interesting if Jordan wins and she loses to the person she lost her last title to.
Damn.
I don't know.
That actually, this got very interesting. All right, that is going to be a matchup to keep eyes on for sure because it has Slammiversary implications. Thank you so much, Matt, for the update on that one. That is very interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. On the one end, I'm like excited, but on the other side, I'm like, man, I can't help but feel like I don't know. She just left TNA to have her already circling around the TNA World Women's Knockout Champion. We'll see what happens, but that is still exciting nonetheless.
Maybe she won't.
Maybe she won't. Right? But I mean,
maybe you'll get your wish and she won't be involved. GB.
I mean, who knows? Wow. You're trying to say that I'm
her right now.
I'm trying. Okay. Well, I don't want to get attacked.
I'm not
She's
trying
quite
to
powerful.
say anything. We just listen to you say it.
She's quite powerful, so I'm quite fearful of her. Let's move over to some of the other big title matches on here. We got this one actually quite interesting. It's been Becky Lynch and Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. They have been back and forth for the last few weeks. Long story short, Lyra's realizing that there are no friends in WWE, and Bayley doesn't give hugs anymore, and Becky's always been a selfish person, and they all want the IC title. And that's basically the story. Did I miss anything out from that?
No, that's the bullet points.
Yeah.
Actually enjoyed this though. This is the match I think I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah,
I am so happy with. Remember the beginning of this with Lyra. I mean, even going into Mania, it was like she doesn't even have a feud for her Intercontinental title. She was in like a tag title feud, and like then they did the thing with Becky, and we were like, she's not the most intriguing on her own.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to be wrong, and that they had the faith to like keep rolling with her and keep her in the mix. And not only that, but like winning a lot too. Like she lost the title eventually, but still like was winning a lot of matches and like is still in the main focus of the conversation. And she has risen to that occasion, I would say, most of the time.
Yeah.
And showed up and showed out.
As we've talked about before, a title loss doesn't necessarily mean a creative loss.
No.
And I certainly think that's the case for Lyra here. I would even argue that all this is done for her to win the title back. And that this was a hey, Becky wins it, Bayley gets involved. All this is to build up the Intercontinental Championship again and then to legitimize a new reign for Lyra Valkyria. I could see it being something like that. I could see any of these three women winning, and I tell you, I wouldn't be upset about it.
No, everybody here has a legitimate reason. I mean, you've got a strong heel Becky who's going to do good business and has a justification to cheat and use nefarious means. You have Bayley who's kind of on a path.
And it's a triple threat, so there's no DQ.
Yeah. So she can kind of do whatever she wants. Of course, Bayley out to kind of reestablish her name. And like, she was once on top and kind of had between damage control and like injuries and everything fell. Now she's kind of back to form and everything like that. And then Lyra, is here up against two veritable, legends, 4 horsewomen, quote unquote, and everything like that. So she has everything to prove and a title to win. So I like everybody's motives and everybody's story going into this. It's really good. That's probably the most high profile match. Honestly, to me, that's my highest profile WWE match of the weekend. Outside of literally Gunther and Goldberg only for the result. Not for the match and the story, just literally for the result. But anything for me, this is like the next highest profile in my opinion.
Yeah. And it's been the one that's had the most consistent narrative throughout. Like all these matches, like for example, the next one that we're going to talk about, Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus. This was just put together because they worked together and they had a good match, and then it was like, hey, let's do the one-on-one match. And look, I think it's gonna be great. Trish Stratus is still very much capable, and Tiffany Stratton is obviously an awesome freaking wrestler, so this is gonna be a good one. But it's just a match and Tiffany should win, and that'll essentially be it. A good opportunity for a Naomi cash-in. Funny enough, very good opportunity, but we'll see if that happens or not. But yeah, I mean, I really don't see Tiffany losing this one. So then that's kind of been the criticism of Evolution outside of that Becky match and our last match that we'll talk about, which is Rhea versus Iyo. Everything's kind of just been thrown together, but there are interesting bits. Like we were talking about with the Alexa Bliss Charlotte situation. Like that is interesting. What happens between them, what is going on with Judgment Day, that is interesting, right? But it's clear like the stories are good, but the matches are just supplementary for the story. They're not actually like critical to it, is how it feels like to me, which is not the best thing when you have a big pay-per-view like this. Speaking of though, Tiffany and Trish, I mean, are we all on the same page? Tiffany probably walks away with this one. Don't really see much of a reason there. And then that brings us to our last matchup, which will be Rhea versus Iyo for the women's world title. Story here is interesting in that Rhea's never defeated Iyo, and they did a really good package showing their history dating back from like the Mae Young Classic. and how Rhea has not beaten Iyo in their time in WWE. I don't know if that's like overall or if that is just only in their time in WWE. But it's kind of cool to see like the lineage and the history between these two women come to a head here. It does suck that they haven't done anything with Io's reign though, and that this could very well just be it, because that's what it feels like. But you don't, or you think Io's winning?
I think Iyo wins.
Yeah,
Iyo wins. I don't think Rhea fixes the record here. I think Rhea spins out.
I mean, I would like for that to happen. Yeah, I would like for that to happen.
I think she's due for a heel turn.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have like the roster in front of me, so I don't know how balanced it is on Monday Night Raw. But like, I think she needs a right turn. You know what I mean? I don't think we're like when this first got kind of made. It was whether last week or the week before. I said I'm bored of Rhea versus Iyo. The idea of just like a straight up match, like I'm gonna beat you this time, and everything like that. Like just as two baby faces, it's dull to me. So like I think Rhea winning would justify her, and so she just stays who she is. Because like, oh yeah, I was right. I could beat her this time. Iyo, I think, would fall out of the sky. So I think Iyo wins. You keep that record. Rhea spins out a little bit. She crashes out a little bit. She gets a heel turn, gets a chance to kind of reignite her run.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's my opinion.
No, that's a good. Jake, what about you? What's your read on this?
I agree with that. I feel like if Iyo loses, no one's going to care about Iyo Sky anymore.
Mm.
I just don't. I mean, and I don't. I don't know. That maybe sounds harsh, but I just feel like Rhea doesn't need a win. She doesn't need the title to be over. She's supremely over, and she's going to be. But like you said, I just don't feel like Io's gotten a great run as champion, and I want to see more from that.
Yeah.
And I just Rhea winning again feels like watching another rerun for the 40th time.
Yeah, it's not as appealing, but it is something I can see them doing. I hope they don't though. But I want Iyo to win, but I think Rhea is going to win. But we'll see. Regardless, this is going to be a fun show to watch. Definitely, if you're good on a Sunday, take that time to watch this show. Also firstly to support women's wrestling, but also to, these are some good matches that are fucking pay-per-view worthy. Some of them, hell, you could do SummerSlam with Lyra Bailey and Becky Lynch. You know what I mean? Like these are the types of the caliber of matches that are on this card. So, very much excited for what is to come here. And that brings us to our last topic of the week, and it is AEW All In Texas going down this weekend. It's going to be awesome. The card is stacked. It's going to be a wild show, top to bottom. But, since this is the WrestleMania show, WrestleMania equivalent show for AEW, let's talk about the road to All In before we get into some of these matches. What you like, what did you didn't like, what didn't you like? Like, let's go ahead and share that. Anyone want to go first?
Like just overall?
Yeah, overall build as we get ready for this event. What'd you make of it? The road to All In.
Overall, because something I thought, and we could do it or not, something I thought about we could talk as we start going through some of these matches. I think we've done it before. Do we want to do kind of like a general, like a hype meter?
Yeah.
For each one of us on each match. It's like, hey, where are you? Are you at a 5? Are you at a 9? Are you at a 2?
I like that. Let's do that. Okay.
So let's start then. Let's start with to your point, GB, of all right, all encompassing the card together, the build. What's your hype level going into this weekend? So I will start, and I think for the overall show, different matches will be. So you're kind of like your medium, your average.
Yeah.
I think I'm at a 7.5, I think.
Okay. For context, what has anything ever gotten an 8 or a 9 or like if you can think of anything that would have been an 8 or a 9 to kind of measure
any
it against.
Event?
Yeah, like to kind of compare it against.
But I mean, certain WrestleManias,
Okay.
absolutely. Like WrestleMania 40 was probably close to that.
Okay.
Just because of some of the things that were on the line. There might have even been other AEW match or the shows a couple of years ago or something like that. But yeah, no. So it has happened. But considering. And we'll talk about it as we go through the individuals. Like considering this is like their biggest show of the year, there's some things that have underwhelmed me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there are some things that I'm super pumped to see.
Yeah.
So like they've balanced out. So like I think, but overall, I think it's a general positive 7.5. I could maybe teeter towards an 8 depending on how many drinks I've had that day.
Okay.
But
I like that.
But yeah, but right
Which
around
will
there.
either
It's
be
not
7
like
or 8.
I'm not beating the buzzer towards the top end, but it's definitely
Yeah.
not feeling like meh. It's not feeling mid.
Okay.
I'm definitely in that 7-8 range.
Okay. Jake, what about for you?
I'm kind of along the same lines as Matt. I mean, there are 2 matches that I'm very interested in the outcome, and there are 2 more that I'm very interested to watch, but I'm not like I don't know. It's hard to explain. We'll talk
not
about
like bought
them
in,
all
bought in.
individually.
Yeah.
No, I am. I mean, but I'm also a 7, and I will say that. And when we get to it, we'll talk about it. Something has dropped my interest in one of those matches recently.
Okay. Interesting.
And we'll discuss that when
Yeah.
we get to it. But overall, I think it's been a pretty damn good build. Like it's they've gotten a lot of story built up to this point.
Yeah.
That has people eagerly awaiting some resolution. So we know it's going to be great matches. I feel like we know it's going to be great matches. Is the storytelling going to match?
Yeah. That's fair. I don't think it's any surprise. I've always been, my heart's always been softer for AEW. I used to work with those guys and stuff, but I like putting that aside, genuinely, I'm like at an 8, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I was around more of a 9 for 40. So like that will give you the context of that. Like I was really excited for WrestleMania 40.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like this one I'm really excited for, and it could have been a 9. I mean, it probably would be a 9, but I think you guys helped me to kind of like balance it out and keep myself realistic. So I like that, I could lean on you guys for a proper scale.
We'll slap you back down to earth. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
we will
fine.
take all out of your.
Yeah, you suck all the joy out of everything.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, I have been excited for this because for me, like watching the discourse on AEW and seeing how people very much are still like in that camp of like AEW doesn't have stories. And so I'm like, you're insane. Like you actually are actively lying and not caring that you're lying. And to those wrestling fans, they don't matter, but like it is very frustrating to see that even take hold with even some people who I have seen make content on AEW or just on pro wrestling in general, make that same kind of connection. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But that aside, and that doesn't really matter ultimately, I have liked what they've done, even though some things have been very bumpy along the way, namely the AEW like Men's World Championship portion of it. That 100%, that whole thing has just been a freaking up and down, more down than up roller coaster. But there have been some other things here that I'm very excited about, and even like some smaller things like the tag team championship matchup. I'm excited for that one too. So let's just jump into it. Let's talk about AEW All In. You now know where we are for our excitement levels for this show, and of course, let us know in the comments what you think. Let's start with our first set of matches. So we'll brush past this really fast. We have the men's and the women's Casino Gauntlet match. I'm not gonna harp on this for too long, and sorry if this graphic isn't the greatest. It might look, that actually doesn't look half bad. But anyway, we got Mystico, we have Mark Briscoe, we have MJF in this one. I don't know who's going to win it. We don't have to speculate on it, but if we did want to say anything, MJF does seem like a really good option for him to win this here. But that does seem too obvious. So
I mean, it's the only story they've been talking about going into it, which is fine. Mystico, MJF, and Mark Briscoe is there. So just by virtue of being number one and everything like that. So yeah, you would think that they would MJF seems to be the logical choice, but I don't know.
Yeah, I do wonder if we're going to have any surprise entrance as well. I don't even know who it would be, though.
Maybe it's all done in the first two, just like MJF says.
Well,
Hurt Syndicate pays off, maybe.
Yeah.
Helps him.
Our producer Stan seems to think that Darby is going to show up and win it.
That there's a lot of hullabaloo, buzz about that. He's due back potentially soon. Yeah, I could see some, a return like that. Who knows? I do love stuff like things like that. Any kind of like Royal Rumble style thing. It's always fun. I mean,
this format is incredible. This format is really good. Like, I like the whole, you're in a match, then it becomes a triple threat, then it becomes a fatal 4-way, then it becomes like an all-out brawl, and then it gets to the point where like maybe it's just too much, and whoever gets that first pinfall wins, and then that's it. And I really, really like that. And I also like how they have even, like, I don't know if you remember when like Roderick Strong was like, I was in the Gauntlet, I never got an opportunity to have my match, I never got an opportunity to come out. I want, like, you can bullshit your way with like different wrestlers who like, probably weren't in the match, but then you can kind of give them something to do on like another episode of Dynamite or Collision. Like, it's clever. It's a good, clever stipulation match. It's very unique to AEW. And it's been fun to see it. And I was going to say, though, I actually wouldn't mind it. To your point, if MJF does lock it up in the first like 2 rounds, that actually would be cool because they haven't done it before.
Yeah, I mean, you limit then like you take a bunch of people off the match potentially, right? There's supposed to be potentially 18 other people.
I don't think they're going to do it, but.
No, but like at some point I would like to see that happen just because like they always talk about that. Oh, you want the number 1 and 2 spot because you could end it all early. You could end it in that first one-on-one scenario.
Yeah.
So I want to see someone do that at least once just to like set the precedent.
Yeah, I agree. And then we'll move on real fast because this one doesn't really have anyone listed for it, but the women's casino gauntlet matchup, that's going to be taking place at All In as well, obviously. I think the only one who's confirmed is Chris Statlander. She's the only one who is like in the match as number 1. I'm assuming this week on Dynamite we'll figure out who the number 2 is. Could be Megan Bain. Could be Julia Hart. Could be Willow. That's also a possibility. Because there has been some, like, they still seem to be interacting with one another, even if it's just in backstage promos. This next one, though, is one I'm excited about. And this is the tag team championship matchup with Hurt Syndicate, Jet Speed, and the Patriarchy. And I'm excited because there's going to be some tomfoolery with the Patriarchy coming out of this one. And I think it's going to be Christian just abandoning Nick Wayne in the ring while he gets destroyed by everyone and then loses the match.
Right? I could see something like that. Yeah.
I guess the question would be, do we want to see Hurt Syndicate still retain these titles? Is it time for them to move over to another team like Jet Speed? Could we see the Patriarchy win the titles? Would it be a good idea? What do you guys think?
I like your scenario of I think we need some kind of similar things to what I said about Rhea. I think the Patriarchy, I like Christian. I love what he's done. I think they've kind of been caught in limbo for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think they need something to, whether it breaks them up or Christian shoots off in another direction or something. I think you do. And I think Nick Wayne is awesome. I think maybe he deserves a chance to kind of strike out on his own. So maybe, that happens, and then we have Christian versus Nick Wayne at like an All Out in August or whatever. So I think the Hurt Syndicate are running strong. I don't think Jet Speed is established enough. I think they still feel like two individual guys who need something to do.
Yeah.
So I think I very much see a Christian Cage abandoning his child. He abandoned his boy.
Oh
He
no.
abandoned his child. And then Nick Wayne gets his milkshake drinking up. So, yeah, I think Hurt Syndicate hangs on.
Jake?
I actually think it's going to be the other way around. I think Nick Wayne's going to leave Christian.
Ooh.
I think
that would be cool.
If you want him to have some kind of baby face run, I think instead of, we all expect Christian to do the sketchy shit, but I just want to see one time where Christian smacks him in the face and says, go do this, go do that, or whatever.
Yeah.
And Nick just tags in Christian and hops off the apron, gives him the finger, and walks out. And now Christian's the one who's stuck there, and Christian learns a lesson, and
I like that too.
I think that would be a really interesting way to go about it. And maybe that's how we lead to some kind of change of heart, maybe from Christian, thus leading to the reformation of
Coping
Cage. Coping Cage.
Mm-hmm. Cage.
Mm-hmm.
I like that actually, but you think Hurt Syndicate still retains though?
Yep, I do.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Just
wanted. I just had.
What happened?
I just had a great idea. If that happens, a little bit of fantasy booking. Post All In. So Christian is left, beaten, bruised, blah blah blah. I don't think you do it at All In. Maybe you do it at the following Dynamite. You see Christian backstage is like head in his hands, whatever, and then you see the legs walk up, and it's pan up. Cope pulls him up off the floor. Oh, just leave it at that. Silent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they start working together, but like Christian Cage has been an asshole for years now in AEW, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a consummate, like one of those great black and white heels. There's not like ambiguity. Like he said, just making fun of people's dead dads, like hitting people in the nuts, like old school. So can you see, like, as they're trying to get Edge and Christian back together, like humorous vignettes or like situations where like they're tagging or something like that, and Christian's going to do like a low blow, and Edge is like, no,
we don't do that
anymore. He's
yeah.
Like, yeah. But I want like all these things where he's just trying to pull him back from these like over the top heelish things of like, your father, Christian,
wrestler,
we respect the dead. Yeah. We respect the deceased. Fine. Yeah. And it's like this reformation.
Like Edge is his sponsor.
Yeah. He's his
like wrestler rehab, but a happy one this time.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. And if there's two guys who could pull it off, it's those dudes, because they are just absolute knuckleheads. So I think that would be really funny. And it would be cool to see them do some comedy stuff, because they've been doing a lot of serious stuff for such a long time now.
Doing comedy stuff too, and which is a lot of people sometimes criticism of some of the former WWE guys in AEW. It would be funny Edge and Christian style stuff, but it's not dredging up it's not 5-second poses. It's not, the old thing they've done before. It'd be a new version of kind of just their fun kind of rapport that they have with each other.
Yeah, I would love that. I think that'd be really fun. Yeah, I do hope we get some more Coping Cage down the line. I'm sure we are. And Edge is hopefully on the mend, healing, and hopefully we'll be back. So we're looking forward to that, because they're still using his name. They're still mentioning him in those FTR segments with Danny Garcia and FTR, and I mean his name popped up a bunch of times. So it's definitely looking like that's a possibility. Next matchup, this one came together recently, but it has been festering for a while. This is our TNT Championship matchup between Kyle Fletcher and Adam Cole, baby. This has been so weird, because I liked Adam Cole winning the TNT Championship. I actually think it was the right decision to make, given that Cole came back. He's looking good, and also, like, you know, he kind of needed to get him some gold around his waist and get things going for Adam Cole. So that was nice. But Kyle Fletcher has really I think Fletcher's going to win this, and I think he should win it. He is really coming to his own, and with the Don Callis family, the look, everything is definitely paying off for him. It feels like now is a good time to strike for Kyle Fletcher, but we'll see. What do you guys think? How do you guys view this one?
Ditto.
Yeah.
Ditto. Like, yep. Nah, that's it. Yeah, he's earned it. This is the time. Part of me, I'm 50-50 on when Cole won it. I almost think you could have done a better job maybe building up Daniel Garcia and having him have a hell of a run, and then it ends here.
It did make Daniel Garcia seem like a knucklehead, to be fair, because he
became an afterthought.
Yeah,
he became an afterthought in this whole thing. But that said, I get it. Like, I mean, Cole's resume speaks for itself, so it's not like he didn't deserve it. But I thought you could have done something more with Garcia to get to this point. But regardless of who the champ is, this is Fletcher's time. He's done the deeds. You know, he put over Ospreay at the end of their feud, but he's gotten in incredible shape, changed his look, changed his attitude, is a workhorse. And I think this is a no-brainer. Pull this trigger.
Yeah. Jake, you agree?
Yeah, let's give it to Kyle Fletcher. I honestly forgot that Adam Cole was the TNT champion.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. He's only really been showing up on Collision. He's been primarily, he'll do like one or two things on Dynamite, but he has been primarily Mr. Collision. Like, there have been some belts that have been like, either, like, for example, the trios titles have been like just completely moved over to the side once the Ops won it. Because he kind of had to. There was like no room for it within like what they were trying to do. And the TNT title definitely suffered as a result of that, which is why I think getting it on Fletcher now gets it back into the conversation, and he can come out and be a douchebag champion with it. And, you know, he's legit, so he's going to win a ton of matches. So I think like it now's the time. No brainer. We have our first big matchup, but not main event matchup, but this one's big because of the implications. We have the Young Bucks versus Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay. Yeah, and it's just the implications, really, of what this match could end up being. So long story short, Young Bucks win. Swerve and Will can challenge for the title for a year. Thank God it's not forever, because they learned a valuable lesson from that one. And then if the Swerve and Will win, then the Young Bucks lose their EVP status. And I'm just going to say it. Swerve and Will should win, because we got to freaking table and shelve this EVP bullshit. Yes. So we can move on.
100% agree. 100% agree.
That's my hill that I'm willing to die on for this one. Because look, we know that they're EVPs, but like, doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Like, they're wrestlers at the end of the day. And I don't know. I mean, it does.
And I think that's an interesting journey. That's a journey they need to go on, is who are the Young Bucks in AEW if they're not EVPs? I think that's going to be the whole focus. Like, what, they're going to try to order someone around and nobody listens to them. You know what I mean? Hey, guy in the truck, do this. Oh, wait, we can't tell them what to do anymore.
Yeah.
I think it'll lead to a babyface run.
Agreed.
I really do. They've done a pretty good job with this totally obnoxious heel persona. And then they're going to have a come to Jesus with themselves of like, who are the Young Bucks when they were young?
Yeah.
Like, haha. But like, seriously, when they were young and up and coming, we have to be those guys again. Who just go out there and have like the best match and beat people and like are the greatest athletes. What made us elite in the first place? We have to go back to that, because we don't have the swing around here that we used to anymore.
Yeah.
And then keeping Will and Swerve out of the other side, keeping them out of the title picture for a year. You could do it. You could occupy them, but it would be tough, because those are just two of your tip-top guys.
Yeah.
And to not even have them in the title conversation, you know, part of triple threat matches or four-way matches potentially in the coming year seems silly. So, yeah.
This is true, but it was I believe it was for the AEW World Championship, right? That means that they could do tag team titles. They could
I
do
know,
unify.
but like,
But I don't disagree with what you're saying.
again,
I'm just,
they're just such your
yeah,
top tier guys. It would you
yeah,
could. Of course you could. There are ways, but
yeah.
it would be
And
tough
also,
in
it's
my
not
opinion,
as
ways.
appealing as the Young Bucks losing the EVP status. Like
No,
that is
agreed.
just
Agree.
more appealing.
Yeah.
And I do want to say, and I could be reading too much into this, but I do feel as if they started to do a little bit of the teasing that this could be where they're going, because on Dynamite, they have this thing where they were going around their old neighborhood, but they were being taken to like the wrong areas, and they were in like clearly the wrong spots. And it was like very intentionally being done to be like, oh yeah, they're kind of like screwing them over with just stupid stuff, you know, and putting them on wild goose chases, and they're like commenting on it. They're like, oh, that's weird, you know, like, so it does feel like they're trying to drop these hints that like the Young Bucks are going to start losing some of this influence and some of this power, and that's just more compelling. That's just a more compelling story, plain and simple. We'll see. That match is going to be insane though, and because like. That has a PWG classic written all over it. That is going to be an absolute psychotic one. And I'm excited because I'm going to be there. So that's going to be fun. This is the one that when it was confirmed, I told my wife that I'm booking my ticket to go to All In. This is Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. Of course, bringing back one of their most legendary matches from, I believe it was Wrestle Kingdom 11. And then, of course, they've had a few over the course, but the one that made me a fan of both of these men was Wrestle Kingdom 11. They just an incredible matchup, and they're running it back again. This time, they're unifying the championships, the International and the Continental, to Jake's favorite named title ever, the AEW Unified Championship. But yeah, let's talk about this matchup. Who wins? What are the implications? Where do we see things going from here? Who wants to go first?
I think Kenny wins. I think he's been on his comeback. He's been fighting the itis. He's been fighting his itis. And he had his one big moment with beating Takeshita, but like I think sometimes guys just got to go in a roll, and he's been going on this roll, and Okada's been desperately trying to hold on to that title. He's done a lot of his nefarious things, and I think the good guy just rolls through. I think this is a pretty clear-cut Kenny win, and he is a unified blank champion. Oh wait, never mind, just a unified champion. All right,
he's a unified unified champion. Yes. Okay. Omega.
And I think it'll be
rides the momentum. Okay. Jake.
I agree. I think it's going to be Kenny. I think that we're going to end up seeing Okada in the world title picture, possibly. Maybe even fairly soon after this happens. But yeah, I feel like Okada's been holding that title hostage for a while. Kenny, like Matt said, kind of on his comeback. He's got some good momentum. I say let's put it on Kenny Omega.
I think it's going to be Okada because I think that there is a really cool kind of thing building up with the Don Callis family and how much they've expanded since. And if Kyle Fletcher wins the championship and then Okada wins the championship, there was a little beef that popped up between Konosuke Takeshita and Okada briefly when they were all in the hallway together, and Okada had introduced the Young Bucks to the Don Callis family, and then Takeshita looks at Okada and says, "You and I are not over," and we still have like it's very clear like from their history, and all that stuff in the past. So I kind of like the idea of an Okada winning, and then Kenny Omega, we'll see what happens with him. He can go in pretty much any direction. It does not matter. I mean, he's Kenny Omega. He can do anything. And then you have Okada and not Fletcher. You have Okada and Konosuke kind of butting heads within the Don Callis family. And then Don Callis has to make that decision. Who do I go with? The guy who beat Kenny Omega and unified the title, or the dude who lost the belt to Kenny Omega to begin with? And then you kind of can have, because I think that Takeshita, it doesn't need the Don Callis family anymore. And you got to find a way to get him out of there. And I think that would be a really compelling way to get him out of there.
Would be a hell of a babyface run for Takeshita.
Yeah, you know, and
like that.
I think people really want it because the man is getting the reactions like he's a babyface.
People.
So I think there's something in that direction because again, I think the special thing about Kenny Omega is that he's a lot like John Cena, in that John Cena can do anything. He can be put in any situation, and he'll be stupendous. If you want to run a thing where Kenny takes on Kyle Fletcher for the TNT Championship, it will be incredible. That's my belief. Matt, what were you gonna say?
True. I was just gonna say, I'm like, depending, I don't know what the situation is, but I mean, if Ibushi's here to stay for a little bit, a Golden Lovers reunion for up against the Hurt Syndicate for the tag titles, that could be a fun little story. So you know what, Here.
I did it.
I have hereby been convinced via the Golden Boy argument to switcheth my predictioneth. And I believe Kenneth Omega shall go down in defeat.
Damn. Okay. I'm proud. You know what it is?
I am stubborn.
It's a lot of marijuana and overthinking things. That's basically how this came about.
I'm with you. I like that. I think there's more interesting scenarios out of that potentially.
I'm gonna keep Kenny, and I'll just sit alone on my island of relevance.
You go.
Hey, you're probably right because look, it's a big stadium show. Conventional wisdom, big money will tell you Kenny Omega. You got to give him the moment with the Final Fantasy theme and all the other stuff, but it's Okada, and I feel like that still needs to be like, that's why I'm like, it's Okada. Like he's pretty much been perfect since coming to AEW. So and he, if anything, he hasn't been able to do shit with the Continental title. So I'm more interested in a newly refurbished Okada championship run. But yeah. All right. So that is our first match. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to win. We want to hear from you. Next up. Oh boy. We've been waiting for this one for a hot minute. And it is Mercedes Mone, our TBS, champion, taking on Timeless Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. Mercedes Mone won the Owen Hart Classic, the Owen Hart Cup, and she earned the right for this. Since then, they've been back and forth each week. And it seems like the story has been that Mercedes Mone just really views this as another belt for her collection. Nothing more, nothing less, darling. And Timeless Toni Storm is holding down the fort. Fellas, Jake, we'll start with you. Who wins?
Timeless Toni Storm.
Timeless Toni Storm. Why? That was a quick one. I love how you didn't even think about it. Show your work. Why do you think?
For the exact reason that you just said. For Mercedes Mone, this is just another title. This is just another belt for her to hang in her closet. Toni Storm will die for this title. Like this title is everything. It is the only thing for her.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like that might be the point, of that. Like, I mean, we've talked about this for a while. Like, she's gonna have to lose the TBS championship because she's not gonna vacate it if she wins.
Yeah.
Even if they were like, you got to vacate, you can't hold it. She's not gonna do that. It's hers. Someone's got to beat me for it. I feel like we're primed for, Matt talked about it earlier with Rhea Ripley. I feel like we're due for a Mercedes crash out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what makes her dangerous. That's
maybe
honestly kind of what I want to see from Mercedes. I think it's still going to be an incredible match, but go watch the Hollywood ending. Go watch the Hollywood ending match and tell me that Toni Storm isn't ready to go to those links again to win this title. While I think yeah, I just think it's a more compelling story. It's more interesting to see Mercedes lose.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying that we thought she was going to be, Pone coming into All In. That ended up not being the case. But if anything, she won more belts since then. But Matt, I mean, to Jake's point, like the crash out of Mercedes is compelling. But could one make the argument that it is also compelling to see Mercedes eclipse Kenny Omega as the belt collector in AEW and go for it all?
Do people care about that?
Yeah, I do. Do they?
She's been posting about it. And
well, yeah, I get that,
it feels like the people who follow her are digging it. So I don't know. I mean, that's hard to tell.
But as the overall audience, I don't think it's a major story point.
Yeah.
I think it's her just social media bragging.
Well, her collecting the belts, though, I think is the whole point of this, right? So
right,
sure.
Which I don't love as a character. I've been vocal about that. That's the gimmick, is that you win a lot of belts. That's not a good character.
Yeah.
This is the match that has disappointed me the most.
Win the one that you're in. Like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Win the title of the place that you're in instead of going these other. Anyway.
This one, as far as like we haven't been doing the hype meter. I suggested.
Oh my God, we didn't do. Okay, well, okay, so
nope, too late.
We can do it for the last two matches. How hype are we for these? How hype are we for these last two matches?
This is one of the ones that has brought my average down.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to be more excited for this. I'm not like dead on it, but I'm like at a 5.
Okay.
Honestly, like Tony's had a couple of those really interesting promos. I love the Carmen Sandiego look. Like, I love just how she changes her look and presentation. I think she's holding steady. I've not been super entertained or interested in the stuff Mercedes has been doing.
Yeah.
The story of just collecting another belt is kind of meh. And I think the better choice is, like, because I'm not that intrigued, the better choice is to stick with your very strong champion. And I think Jake's story points are very valid. Mercedes winning another one. I don't think there's an issue with like vacating, because we've seen people hold multiple singles titles in one company before.
Yeah.
So like you defend them and maybe you lose them time, or you do like a 2-fall triple threat like they did with Kurt Angle way back in the Dizzy, and he loses both titles in one match.
Yeah.
But then I don't think it's as interesting as Toni Storm showing Mercedes like, oh, it's not as easy as you think. And like, it's not another notch on your bedpost. I'm surprised she has not considering how sexual she gets in her undertones. I'm surprised she hasn't compared it to a notch in a bedpost and talking about betting Mercedes and taking her out for like the night of her life.
We still have a week, so anything's possible,
I was waiting for those promos. So I think Tony's been holding down the fort, but this has been a very mid build for me. So I think Tony does win. And yeah, I'm at like a 5 out of 10.
I think that Mercedes wins because they want the visual of her holding all of these belts, because I think the crash out afterwards is going to be interesting. That's the direction that I would like for them to go in.
What crash out?
She's got to lose them all eventually, right? I mean, she's got to lose them all. And when you start losing your belts, I mean, and you have that many, inevitably it's going to lead to an individual. Like, look what happened when Toni Storm lost her title at All In, and then she ended up freaking going crazy and became the Timeless character. So like, you could really, see her at top of the world doing all this stuff. She achieves it all, but then what happens after that? It's the story of, we've all experienced the highs and the lows, right? Like success, and then get brought down to reality. That is compelling. If they go that route, that is compelling. That being said, I don't know if you need to do that with her winning the AEW Women's Championship. I don't think she needs that. So I wouldn't mind if Mercedes loses, but I do think she's going to win. Something just tells me she's going to win. But hey, we'll see. We'll see next week when we get back together and figure it out. Let us know, of course, what you think. And as far as hype goes, I would say I'm around a 6 and a 7, closer to 7. for this one for me. Did you give your meter, Jake? Your hype meter? I don't know if you.
I'd say I'm around there. I'm feeling 7.
This could also be a reasonable 6. You know, like this isn't because it started off high and then it kind of like hit a bit of a low turn. And I think the match is going to be great, but you know that going into it, yeah, that's how I feel. The last matchup, right? We covered everything, right? We got the men's casino. Yeah, we did everything. There might be another women's match, but that will probably get confirmed this week.
Hell, they might add another 6 matches on Dynamite.
They very well could. They very well could.
The precedent has been there.
Well, I already have it planned to be there for at least a solid 6 hours, so I'm ready to go. Let's see what happens. I think the doors open at like 1:30 or some shit like that. I gotta look at it, but anyway,
the day before.
Yeah, the day before line up. Okay, the last matchup, what we've all been waiting for. Hangman Adam Page, the winner of the Owen Hart Cup, going up against Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. I mean, this is
Texas death match.
In a Texas death match. So I'm gonna say, when this card was forming, and we were seeing all these matches being put together, the back of my mind, I was like, I think Mox and Hangman is going to be good. But it is going to be really tough to follow some of these matches that are going to be like just insane quality. How do you do that? You get Mox in the ring doing the thing he loves best, bleeding.
I disagree with this premise hard.
Completely.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
Because they can't, you don't need every special effect to compete. They have the one thing nobody else has. The AEW World Championship and the potential defeat of the fucking Death Riders that has been a bane both like in story and in a very more meta real way to some of the audience for the better part of the past year.
Yeah.
So
now you can kill him legally with the Texas Death Match. Problem solved.
I hated that stipulation was added. Yep. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure what some of the stuff they do will be wild and super fun and entertaining. I just think we could have gotten there. I'm a huge fan of the old. I don't even think it's old, but like there was almost kind of the way when a new guy would win a title like that at a Mania at a huge event, the heel champion you'd get a rematch. Sometimes they do like a trio of matches. You have like the revenge match, the rematch, and then you up the ante again with a stipulation. So like maybe we don't get all 3, but this could have been an all-out rematch. Mox, you only won because I wasn't unleashed. If we both really put it all out there, and then you have like the blood and guts and a little bit more. But I don't know. I'm a huge fan of like these big events, the biggest event of the year.
Yeah,
having like a semblance of prestige isn't the right word, but it's like it's kind of. Keep it clean.
Yeah,
no, I imagine there was
more
classic.
Yeah.
And I knew there was going to be like interference and the ops were going to help out neutralizing all that kind of brouhaha around it, but without getting into glass and barbed wire and exploding this and light bulb that, and you could have had a nice clean. And then in the rematch, in the fallout. It turns into a big brawl on Dynamite and all this stuff, and you get a death match at the next pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And then Hangman really establishes himself. You could have gotten more out of it. It just seems like they're just throwing all of it out with the bathwater on one go, which I don't know.
This told me, and I could be wrong here, but I think like we're done with the Death Riders after this. And I think we're just done in general. With
I would hope,
arc.
Yeah.
So I think that this also gives them a very good opening to just go nuts with like timing and how many people they can send out there because it's going to be wild. It's going to be,
but that's what it was going to be anyway. We already play so hard and fast with the rules in AEW, like that was always going to happen.
Yeah.
But this is like when Tarantino was like, I want to direct I want to direct a Star Trek, but it's going to be rated R. Why?
Yeah.
Why does it need to be? Why? Why do we need to hear Captain Kirk dropping F-bombs for it to have any significance on the storyline? We need to see like some green alien topless for us, or in Tarantino's case, her feet, like to get some kind of like point across. Like you already have built this great story.
Yeah.
You don't need this added one-upsmanship, but of like, how gross can we make this? Because that is what Jon Moxley's going to do, because he cannot fucking help himself. Like, he just can't. There's no we need to raise the stakes higher than the fucking soul of AEW.
Yeah.
Higher than the title of AEW. We don't like. You're putting,
to counter only on one thing. I'm just going to say this real fast. Is that we've also seen Hangman's journey in this world when he went up against Swerve and all this stuff. So I think the message is that it's more like I'm willing to bleed for this belt and literally bleed.
But
and I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm just saying that I think this is their logic
Jon
on it.
Moxley can't shave his fucking face without bleeding. He can't brush his teeth without bleeding. He's becoming the new Ric Flair. Like it is obnoxious how much he feels like he has to do this to have a good match. John, you don't. I know that you don't. You don't need to have all this blood and crazy shit. Like, look, does it have its place in wrestling? Yes. Do I enjoy it in wrestling? Yes, but to an extent. But like when you have a beautiful, banana split set in front of you, you don't need to add deep fried Twinkies. You don't need to add a slice of pizza. You don't need to add,
somebody's never been to the Florida State Fair.
But like
it is ridiculous. But it's ridiculous.
Like, you have taken something that I know I'm excited about and is going to be delicious, and now you're adding all this extra shit to it that doesn't need it.
Yeah.
If this weren't already like, if there was no hype behind this, if people didn't care about it, if it was, some kind of like desperate attempt to get people to watch or to give a shit about it's the fucking AEW World Championship at the biggest pay-per-view event of your entire year with the guy that you have built up for 2, 3, however many years that you will say, this is how long his story has been. You didn't need to add this element on top of it. You just didn't. Because it's like you said, it's already going to have all these run-ins. It's going to have all this interference. It's going to be this big, convoluted, blow up, like overbooked mess at the end, which can be fun. But add this on top of the fact that they're just going to be like, I mean, what are they going to be putting light tubes through each other's eyeballs? Like who?
Don't give them an
idea.
idea.
I don't need it. I don't need that.
Yeah.
It just is so unnecessary, and it has severely diminished how much I give a shit about this match.
I am excited to see two men murder each other anymore in person. That's going to be fun. But I don't disagree with you though. I understand what you're saying.
You can go get that at any GCW event.
Whoa. I mean, yeah.
But you can. I mean, but that's not like my interest in the match went from like an 8 or 9 to a 5.
Really? Just off of this?
Yes.
I mean, because the story is still great.
Now, yes, but not in the story. I'm still interested in the outcome. The match, I could give a shit about the match.
Interesting. I just
want to see what the outcome is, because I don't care about this like overly gratuitous blood orgy that Jon Moxley wants to have.
Look, and that is, I'm going to be clear. Like, I mean, we don't know, right? Like it is going to be a bloody matchup, but are we really? I don't know.
Are we really?
I guess I just have a different appetite for it, because I don't mind it in that regard, because I've watched it so much. So I guess that's my perspective.
Here's another angle to it too, to both mine and Jake's point. is that I think, again, maybe you're right. Maybe this is like one and done. Death Riders are dead and buried, and we never see them on TV again. If this is one blowout, I can give you a modicum of a justification for it, but I still think, I'm like, you could get to this post All In at a situation where it's not as prestigious. But I also think there's story to be told. Hangman Adam Page had to go through this journey at his lowest, when he was his most ruthless and soulless. He did some of the most violent things he'd ever done to another person, like Swerve Strickland. In his redemption arc, he's trying to be the better man, learn what he did from those times, and be better. So there's a great story you could tell with Mox pulling a wrench out or whatever. Hangman taking it from him. I don't need this shit. Fight, wrestle. Mox takes out a baseball bat with nails in it. Takes it from, like, has all these opportunities, like, I know, I want to rip your head off. I want to split you open. I don't need to fucking do that to beat you. And so he beats him, buckshot lariat, center of the ring, like a damn man. And then, if post All In, Mox is like, if you really let it all go, let that friggin' demon out of you that you squash down, if you really let this all fly out, I beat you because I'm the king of violence or whatever. And then they have a Texas death match at All Out or the next pay-per-view, and Hangman still beats him.
But then the argument is, but if I didn't need the violence to beat you before, then why do I need it now?
Yeah.
Right. But
you know what I mean? Like, if I didn't need to do all the shit. But if the whole point of Mox's run has been like, everybody forgot what wrestling is, and this is supposed to be about wrestling. Well, then this ain't wrestling. This is literally you're killing each other.
He said that no one is tough enough to hold the title. No one is capable enough to hold the title, and he's the only one that. And in the promo, which wasn't particularly
not
great,
it. The Death Riders are, which is also the point.
Yeah. But I was just gonna say that in that sequence or in that conversation that they had, his whole thing was like, oh, you want a cute little tournament to do this, but you don't understand what you need to go through in order to, like, hold this title. To which,
and
then
I reject
that's when,
that because because the whole concept of like, I'm tough enough to hold this. Bitch, you got 4 people behind you. Shut the fuck. Like, I don't want to hear anything.
But that's also like,
and I understand that's
bad
also
guy. That's Roman Reigns had. We can talk about Roman Reigns and his 3,000 plus day, but reign, but pretty much the guy won by interference every single time. So that doesn't really work in this context. This is still like how he's presenting it. And it's the same way that Roman Reigns says, I'm on another level, but yet he can't win if he doesn't have interference. That's just bad guy stuff. That's just the nature of it. That's why I'm not like harping on that aspect too much, more so just the promo that wasn't great that set this up. Because Mox definitely got rattled because, again, I think the audience is just ready to move on. And then I think that this match is a very clear indication that we're moving on. That's kind of how I took it, but I understand. But you make great points. You both are very valid in that. Because you didn't need it. You don't need it. But when you do look at the card, though, and you see a lot of these like really good straight up matches, it does break things up. But it is weird because you're breaking it up with the last match, which is your main event. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be bloody, and I know I said like it could not be, it could be. I mean, you have to make the assumption if you see Texas Death Match, there's going to be a certain kind of inclination of what you could expect with it. I guess my thing is more so, I see what they're doing and how they've laid it out, but it could have been done, to Matt's point, in a way where you kind of get a little bit more juice from it rather than going for it right away.
But then if it is this, then the Death Riders better cease to exist as of Saturday.
Yeah, that's my takeaway. But
and if that's the case, fine.
And if it isn't, then we can come back here and bitch about it. And that's all good, because it's pro wrestling and it's just going to move forward anyway, whether we like it or not. But that's the best part about it. All right, so who are we calling to win this? Are we all agreeing Hangman down the middle? Yeah.
Indeed.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. I mean, if it's Mox, I will be in the riots. So you guys will see me on TV, and you'll be like, oh hey, there he is.
You're gonna charge the ring?
I'll be like
Well, that's
throwing.
fine.
I'll be throwing
I
a bottle.
won't.
Or
I
something.
won't see you on TV because I'll have turned it off.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, and that of course takes us to the end of the show, and what can only be described as the greatest segment of all time. It is a Rebooked 24/7 Champion of the Week. This is, of course, where we award our thing to the person, place, thing, whatever it is, brought us most joy. Doesn't have to be wrestling related, but it can be. It's perfectly fine. I'll go first. Mine is very, very straightforward, very easy. Started playing Battlefront 2 again. The game still slaps. Play it. It's still great. It's so fun. And like, you just spawn up, you die. You spawn up, you die. But it doesn't matter, because then you get to be Luke Skywalker, and then you just chopping up some fools. It's amazing. I'm kind of bummed that I stopped playing
you say
it.
Battlefield 2 or Battlefront?
Sorry,
2?
Battlefront 2. I'm so sorry.
Battlefront I was
2.
going to say Battlefield 2 didn't, unless there was a collab I didn't know
Unless there was
about.
a mod I didn't know about. Or no, Battlefront 2, excuse me. It was on sale this week for like $5. So I bought it, and then I started playing it, and I was like, oh my God, this game is still so freaking good. So anyway, Battlefront 2, worth the time. Anyone else want to go next?
Sure, I'll go. And if GB, if you could get there, I already shared the image last night in our chat. So we talked about last week the death of the New Day's tag team title reign was unfortunate. They didn't really seem to get a lot of big time story time, screen time with their title reign. But if anything good came out of it, last night we got to see a piece of it, because the New Day always spin gold. The morning New Day,
I got it right.
Who came out dressed like a mix of Jackie O and The Undertaker. Like, the veils were so funny.
Like, I'm sorry, but Kofi is owning this shit. He is
Dude,
owning it.
for real.
It's so good.
They looked, it was so ridiculous. The black flowers, like, just, it was like emo kid on steroids. And it immediately popped me out of my chair, and I love those guys. So
yeah, when they showed up in
the New Day appear
in that vignette, in the segment backstage, when they just like popped up as they were talking to the War Raiders, and then they showed up, and then everyone, the crowd, you could hear the collective just laughing of the crowd, because it was just so. They must have been getting looks all day. People must have been laughing at them all day, because just how silly they looked. It was great.
Oh yeah.
For sure. Jake, what's yours?
Mine is, I often, when I see somebody that I've been critical of, turn things around or make an improvement, I want to call that out. I want to be as positive as I am negative with,
fair.
With things, or at least that's what I'm trying to do.
That's fair. It's a good way to be. Good way to try.
And starting today, as we record this, actually, I guess it was technically starting yesterday, but is the early access period of a game that releases on Thursday, the 10th, which is EA College Football 26.
Here we go again. We're back. We're back
now,
in it. We're back
let
in
me,
it.
I just want to
I'll be on my phone for a little bit.
But hold on. Hold on. Last year when the game came out, it was like so glad the college football game is back. Excited to be back in it. But like, there were just things about the game that you were like, man, it's not quite there. It's not quite there. It's good. It's a good step. It's a good first step. But this new one that has come out, I have to give credit to and I'm not giving credit to EA.
That's fair.
I'm giving credit to the EA College Football dev team.
Yeah.
Because what they've put out, I only played like 2 games last night because I just wanted to see how it felt. It's the smoothest football game I have possibly ever played.
Really?
It is. It feels like a football game, man. I mean, like it it's so smooth. Then and see, look at that right there. Our boy number 2, Ryan Williams, is one of the cover athletes this year.
That's pretty cool.
But it plays so smooth, and like they've implemented new things like. And I can't believe it took them so long to do this, but I suppose it's in a, like, how do you code this into the game? I don't know. But one thing that was always frustrating is I felt like I threw so many interceptions last year that were miracle interceptions. And what they've added is a whole thing that's they call it no eyes, no pick.
Okay.
If the defender cannot see the ball, he cannot intercept it.
Oh, okay.
He has to be looking back at the ball.
So your field of vision for the character model matters. That's kind of cool.
Yes. And so now what it allows you to do is I'm able to sneak passes in places because the cornerbacks aren't looking.
Ah.
So like I'm making tighter passes into tighter windows because the coding has accounted for things like that.
That's pretty
like
sick.
It feels more realistic. The stadium atmosphere is nuts. Like they used, and they did this last year, but they've really amped it up this year by adding more music, more recordings.
Yeah.
They use actual broadcast crowd noise in the game.
Oh, that's awesome.
To pump in, yeah. And they have stadium traditions, like the tradition.
Wait, so they're piping in crowd noise?
Yeah.
How dare they pipe in crowd noise?
Right?
The wrestling audience has been fighting this for decades.
I know.
Wait until you find out about Rocket League. I mean, that thing's
but they've even
crowd noise the whole time.
But they even licensed like songs that are traditions at certain schools, like Virginia Tech. They walk out to Enter Sandman. They got the rights to Enter Sandman, and when you play Virginia Tech, they come out and the crowd is singing the song along with you. Michigan does Mr. Brightside at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Yeah. The whole crowd at the stadium is singing Mr. Brightside.
That's cool.
It's super, super cool. They've really leaned into the tradition, to the atmosphere. And like I said, the gameplay, like I'm blown away by it.
Yeah.
So kudos to them. Can't wait to get Chuck Duncan's career as a coach started again.
There have been some solid ones. There's that new soccer game rematch. That's
yes,
on
I've
Steam.
also heard it's great.
That game is fire. Like it does feel like sports games. You know, they're seeing a bit of a, not wouldn't say a renaissance, but wouldn't go that far. But they're definitely seeing some uniqueness getting added into the genre, which has been very much desperate for that for a long time. Because EA just wants to really make money off of those Ultimate Team packs. But that's just live service games. That's a conversation for another show.
But I never played that once, even a little bit last year.
That's a conversation for another show, for another day. Mm-hmm. But that is going to do it for us here today on Rebooked. Big things happening this weekend. What are you guys looking forward to of all the shows we have? Anything like if you had to pick a show, you're like, oh, I'm actually kind of excited for that. Is it All In? All In?
Go ahead,
yeah.
For me, it's us seeing Superman on Thursday.
Yes.
That's what I'm hyped about, buddy.
Me and Jake are going to go watch Superman. If people are interested, we'll drop a review on the Rebooked Instagram or something like that and just share our thoughts on the movie. I'm really excited for it. I don't give a flying rat's ass about it reviews. I'm ignoring it because I know with my eyes sees a good movie, it looks like it's going to be a good movie. So anyway, so that's what do you guys have? You said All In. Jake says Superman. I'm going to All In, so I'm excited for that, and I'm going to go to Superman. Wow, what a week for me. Yay me. I'm happy.
Yay you.
I needed one of these. But of course, make sure if you happen to enjoy the show, you like, subscribe. You can check us out across all the different podcasting platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. You can also
join our Discord.
You can find the link down below. But if you want quick links to everything, you can just go to www.rebookedpod.com. Once again, that's www.rebookedpod.com. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. Peace.